What is up, IDP Army? It's me, Jordan Reigns at 50 Shades of Drunk, the Cardi P of IDP. If you follow along on Twitter, it's a little later in the week, getting the show up this week. We're going to do the Week 6 IDP rankings and news update show. Appreciate you guys sticking in there with me. If you were watching the live stream, get your questions in. I'll try to get those answered as best I can. And let's get it started.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, welcome in. First and foremost, thank you for being here, for joining us. This is the IDP Army podcast, one of the many shows that I kind of do these days. Guys, gals, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if it's your first time. We're going to talk about the Week 6 IDP fantasy football rankings. You can go down in the description of this show, click the link down there. It should take you to the website, which has the full rankings. We're not going to go over all the players, obviously. We're going to go over my top 20, 21, 22 plays this week at each of the three positions: linebacker, defensive line, defensive back. We're going to talk about some of the, outs, questionables, that kind of stuff. The news through the week, and I'll get you guys going. Do me another favor, go check out the show that me and my man Dave Kluge have been doing. We got a new podcast feed called The Underdogs. We were doing underdog drafts. I'm actually, after this show, going to be doing some underdog drafts. So if you want to join me in that, click the link in the description below, because hey, we draft, man. Underdog fantasy is a fun time. It's a good way to play DFS without doing the budgets and playing in all these big pools. It's a new platform. It's a good platform. It's a fun platform. So go check out our shows on our plays this week and get in there and draft with me. I'd appreciate that. Okay. Big news for the week, IDP wise. Well, actually, first, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Joey Bosa. Hopefully you are listening to the show late in the week, because I don't know if I'm going to bring it up again on the show for a while, but it's really been a slow start to the season for him. I've really been noticing it myself personally. The transition from the true defensive end to the outside linebacker position under Brandon Staley has really affected his box score output this year. In 12 games last season, just for instance, he had 15 tackles for loss. He was one of the league's highest tackle for loss players, only played 12 games. Through 5 games this season, 2021, how many tackles for loss do you think Joey Bosa has? 5 full games. He's played all season. I'll give you a second. Think about it. Remember, he was one of the league's top tackle for loss guys. He was top 12, I think, tackle for loss last season. Someone will have to vet that. But how many do you think he has through 5 games this season? All right, I'll tell you. He has zero tackles for loss for one of the league's premier tackle for loss players. The switch to the new position is, I don't know if that's truly it, but the box score doesn't lie. The pressures are still there, but the numbers that he's putting in up for you in fantasy football are not what you've been used to. He's also producing pretty low tackle numbers compared to his previous years. Only 15 combined tackles through 5 weeks. That's 3 a week, and that's bad. But for Joey Bosa, you're typically getting 65 to 70 tackles out of him, that kind of pace for the season. That's one of the things that makes him a top defensive line play every year, is because along with the high equity upside of, double-digit tackles or sacks and massive tackle for loss numbers, 15 last year in 12 games, you're also getting a tackle floor that is elite. Only, generally he, Danielle Hunter are the only guys that you can kind of count on every year to go up to that 65 range. DeForest Buckner as well. All top-tier defensive line plays every single season. Right now, listen to this. Right now, Joey Bosa is pacing for 51 combined tackles on a 17-game season. He gets one extra game this year compared to his previous seasons, and he's pacing for almost 20 less tackles. So if you feel like Joey Bosa is not getting it done for you, he's not. It's not in your head. It's really not happening. So what does that mean for IDP managers? One, don't go telling your league mates that if you have him on your team. You probably are going to try to flip him. I'm just being real with you. That's the smart play right here. If you can still cash in on the name value. it might be tough. The other thing, though, is I would say is we should anticipate a boom game from Joey Bosa sooner than later. Remember last season, he kind of was very boom bust. He'd had that 54 point game, I believe it was right before he went out for the season, week 8 or 9. Put up a lot of his fantasy production in that game. And the pressures, if you adhere to that, and you think that's indicative of future success. He's got some sacks coming his way this season. So I would anticipate a boom game coming for him, and then I would consider moving on from Joey Bosa. It's crazy to think that, but yeah, he is. He's fifth in the league in pressures through week 5, which is good. But again, we don't get points for pressures in IDP fantasy football, or at least most people don't. And even if you do, you're only going to get one, even half a point per pressure. That's not going to compensate for his overall decline in every other area on the box score. We'll say, I believe he's had 2 tackles or 2 forced fumbles this year, which in his entire career leading up to the season, I think he only had 4 or 5. So he is still disruptive. He's still Joey Bosa. I don't want you to freak out, but I do want you to know that the season you're going to get from him this year is not going to be probably what you drafted him to be, and just let you know that that's a real thing. It's happening. So I thought that was important to address. Other news kind of for the week, I was looking at some of the guys that are questionable / going to be inactive. Xavier Howard is out for the defensive backs. You have a few guys that are questionable still. Deshaun Elliott, Damontae Kazee. Nasir Adderley is going to be a big one. I do have him. When I do talk about my rankings, he is my defensive back 17 right now. Not really sure if he's going to play. And Trevon Diggs, questionable as well. So hopefully we don't lose the number 1 defensive back on the year right in the heart of the season. I think he's going to play. And if he does play, he gets a rookie Mac Jones. So maybe he can keep that interception streak alive. But you'll definitely want to keep an eye on those guys in your rosters. As far as your defensive back spots. Linebackers, I know Drew Tranquil has already been declared out. So that's going to give Kazir White a little bit of a bump just because we know the security of his job is fully intact. Miles Jack also out with the injury he sustained this last week. But no other real big question marks there at the linebacker spot. And then defensive line, there are a few guys that are questionable, including Myles Garrett, but I think he's going to probably play. We have Chris Jones out again for a second week in a row. I mean, again, it comes back to my Chiefs defensive line. It's not good. My Chiefs defense is just not good. And our offense is starting to shoot blanks every now and again. So let's get that figured out, guys. Khalil Mack, questionable. Jadeveon Clowney, questionable. Having a great season, Jadeveon Clowney. Hopefully he gets back out in the lineups because when he's out there, you want to be playing him this season. Randy Gregory, questionable. Jason Pierre-Paul, questionable. I assume most of those guys are going to play. They did get in some practices this week. So, like I said, get all your questions or comments in the chat here, and I'm going to go ahead and bust out my rankings for week 6. Again, go to the link in the description below. You can see them all on the website. They're not updated as of today. Okay, so if somebody's out or whatever, don't come trying to tar and feather me out of town. I'm going to update them as soon as the show's over. I'll send it through. But let's start defensive line this week. TJ Watt, number 1, Danielle Hunter, Myles Garrett, Shaq Barrett, who had a great game the other night, already played, Montez Sweat, Joey Bosa, Harold Landry, Hassan Reddick, Brian Burns, Max Crosby, who is also due a big game, DeForest Buckner, Matt Judon, Javon Hargrave, he's already played, Cameron Hayward, Jonathan Allen, Yannick Ngakoue, Aaron Donald, who I'm going to probably give a little bit of a bump in my rankings because I had him down here last week and it killed me because he had a great week. Chase Young, who I will be leaving down in this range, who has been letting people down. Chandler Jones, who had 5 sacks week 1, has not had a sack since. Still has a good amount of pressures. Still has a high amount of tackles or quarterback hits, but he has not gotten home for the sacks. Sam Hubbard, having a pretty okay season. I mean, just doing what Sam Hubbard does. Nothing to really write home about, but he's still hanging around. Give him credit. And then Trey Hendrickson did pop off this last week as well. You can see him sneaking in down there at 21. He'll probably get a little bump by the time these actually get pushed out Sunday morning. Yeah, but just really want you guys to, it's pretty chalky. Joey Bosa still pretty high this week. He does get Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I'm not necessarily anticipating a lot of sacks, but if they do try to hand the ball off, I could see them being on that for the tackle for loss department. And I could just see this kind of being a game that gets out of hand offensively and defensively. So could be a good get right game for Joey Bosa. Harold Landry, you guys know I've been loving on him for a while now. He's having a great season. Leads the league, or he has the second most pressures in the league, I believe, right now. The leaders are he, Max Crosby, and Daniil Hunter right now. All guys that are young. The pass rushers in the NFL right now are crazy good. So yeah, I got a question here from my man, the fantasy futurist. He says, "Sup, bro? You might have covered this, but thoughts on Trevon Diggs' availability this next game?" Yeah, like I said, you're just going to have to watch it. If he plays, you play him. Obviously, he's the number one defensive back on the year. He's having a great year, defensive player of the year caliber type of season. Um, all right, before I get to the rest of those, I'm going to jump to my next set of rankings. We're going to go linebackers. You will notice Devin White. I did have him back up again a little bit in my rankings this week. I did anticipate a much better game last night. And if you watched, he was around the ball a ton. He was so close to getting a couple of sacks on Jalen Hurts. Eventually, Devin White's going to get his. But man, this year is not like last year, unfortunately. He's just like a borderline linebacker one right now. At this point, he's operating at such a high deficit at week 5. And, he's played on Thursday, so he's got week 5 in the books. It's going to be tough for him to overcome that going forward. On the flip side, Jordan Brooks down here at number 7. Actually, I should just read these off for the people listening to the podcast. I'm sorry, guys. Darius Leonard, Roquan Smith, Bobby Wagner, Eric Kendricks, Logan Wilson, Devin White, Isaiah Simmons, Jordan Brooks, Joe Schobert, and Harold Landry. I did include him in my linebackers this week. Are my top 10 linebackers. And then I have Kenny Young, Cole Holcomb, Denzel Perryman, Jordan Hicks, Devondre Campbell, Christian Kirksey, Eric Wilson, who already played, and that one totally killed me. Devin Bush, Matt Milano. I am anticipating him coming back, but this is kind of a hedge because if he's fully back, I would probably have him a little higher. Bobby Okereke, who's been very serviceable, and then Jerome Baker playing a lot of snaps, not being super productive, but I anticipate him getting a little bit more juice going this week. So he does make my top 24. Circling back around, Jordan Brooks is having a really good season right now, kind of eating into Bobby Wagner's tackle production as of late, but still both top end plays. There's not really much else you can say. Hopefully, if you drafted him last year in Dynasty and he was on your taxi squad, you have been playing him. If he's still on your taxi squad, go activate him because he is a top 5 linebacker right now. There's no reason you should wait because whoever you're playing over him, unless it's one of the other 4 better linebackers, it's not as good as him. So, other major players on this list I really wanted to bring up. I'm putting my faith back in Kenny Young. I'm ready to be hurt again by these Rams linebackers, but these guys pop off when they play. They do seem to favor Kenny Young overall over Troy Reeder. So I have him at 11 this week. Check the rankings again later because if I see or hear anything that spooks me, he's probably gonna drop a little bit at the very least. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions about the rankings too, and you're watching this video after the stream, drop a comment below, thumbs up the video. I will try to get back to you before kickoff on Sunday. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the defensive back rankings. So I see a bunch of questions over here in the stream I want to get to before the show ends. So, number 1 this week, Derwin James. I see a lot. I don't see it, but I know a lot of y'all are smirking out there because I'm kind of like Derwin James is like public enemy number 1. But he's been playing lights out this year, and the big plays are coming for him. So I'm buying in. Again, kind of like Joey Bosa. I think this game has a potential to end up being a little bit sloppy. We did see Lamar get a lot of favorable calls sort of on the fumbles and just, there are some errant passes occasionally. So I could see this game being really interesting. So I'm kind of buying into a disruptive game, a high scoring game, and some of that could be on defense. So he's my number 1 this week. I'm in. I did finally fade Jamal Adams. It's just been not what it was. But I got Buda Baker at 2. Love him. 3, I have Harrison Smith playing Carolina. The reason he's so high this week is I do think that there's a lot of pick potential in this game. I love Sam Darnold. I think he's playing a lot better. But I think that the Vikings getting getting Dalvin Cook back, in the way Kirk Cousins has been humming in general, I think this could end up being a high scoring ish game. And if that's the case, and if the Vikings are able to score a couple times early, which I know a lot of people are touting the Carolina defense, but I mean, we're looking at multiple all pros, in my opinion, right now at this point on the Minnesota offense. So they are going to take care of business. I think that's going to put Sam Darnold in a position to throw a pick. Harrison Smith, if I was still doing the pick locks, which I haven't done in a couple of weeks, I would have him in for a pick lock this week. Von Bell having a great season. He's at 4. Jamal Adams faded him down at 5 finally. Chuck Clark 6, Justin Simmons 7, Logan Ryan 8, Trevon Diggs still 9. Obviously, if he doesn't play, he will get pulled out of there. Rayshon Jenkins, I have him at 10. Excuse me. Kenny Moore 11, Jordan Fuller 12, Minka Fitzpatrick 13. I probably need to move Minka Fitzpatrick up a little bit. He's having a really, I don't know, good year for IDP. I'll say that. I don't know, the PFF grades will probably come after me if I say he's having a good year. Can't throw those words around too flippantly. But he's had like 2 double-digit tackle games, I think, this season. Pacing for a career year in tackles. He still has the big play upside that we know is available to him as being Minka Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he's producing for fantasy managers in a way I think a lot of people didn't ever anticipate he would. So if you have him, he is up in this range on purpose. It's not just a homerism thing. He really is getting the job done. Taylor Rapp kind of hurt you the last week or two, but he really has been consistent with the tackles. This is going back multiple years too. So I really don't want to put him outside of a high-end defensive back 2 at any point, really. And he's had many defensive back 1 weeks. Jordan Poyer at 15, I believe he's back off the injury completely. I will have to double check it, but I didn't see a questionable mark by his name. So I think we're good there. Still a little bit tentative to put him too high. They get the Titans this week, which is a favorable matchup for tackles, assuming Derrick Henry runs all over the field. But I think with the game plan, probably being aware of that, everybody's going to be looking for those. So those linebackers, and assuming Matt Milano is back, are going to definitely be aware of Derrick Henry. So I'm not saying like Jordan Poyer, this isn't like a hard fade or even a fade, but I'm just not uber duper confident in him this week, especially like I said, coming off injury, which I believe was a hamstring injury. I'll have to look that up in the index, but I believe in the ability of re-aggravating injuries. I know people are like, you can't be injury prone, it's not a thing, but I'm like, being injured does make you more prone to being injured. Like I'm like 90% sure that's like a real thing. Because you're especially muscular and skeletal thing, because you're compensating or overcompensating with other parts of your body, which cause imbalances and movement impairments, which can cause harm. Anyway, that's just, maybe I'm wrong on that. You can go vet that on YouTube somewhere else. I got Terrell Adams at 6, or Terrell Edmonds 16. I got Nasir Adderley 17. Again, he's questionable. Watch him, but having a great season, playing along with Derwin. Derwin's up there at 1. Jonathan Abram, another guy who I've been known to fade in the past, having a great year, giving him his respect. He's a defensive back 2 solidly. By the end of the season, it wouldn't shock me if he pushes his way into defensive back 1 numbers based on how he's been playing. Daniel Sorensen, Dirty Dan Sorensen, probably the worst safety in the league at this point. His buddy Tyrann Mathieu, I'm sure you guys saw the meme of him like multiple times in that game the other week, just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, where are you going, man? Like, just giving up big play after big play. Real swell guys, man. That Kansas City Chiefs defense is something special. Then Jeremy Chin. Now this is where it gets interesting. He's down at 21. Had a lot of people asking me, what are you doing with Jeremy Chin? Can I drop Jeremy Chin? Jeremy Chin, he sucks. What do I do? This season, it's not last season, no. But Jeremy Chin is still the same player. I can't tell you to drop him. I would never tell you to drop him. I would say adjust your expectations and just hope that big game comes, because, it is only week 5. This time last year, Jabril Peppers was like defensive back like 80 or 90. And I was basically giving up on him. He ended up pushing back. I think he had, what was it, 6, 7, 8 20+ point games in a row. I think it was from week 6 to like week 13. Ended up winning me leagues. So things change. It feels like we have a heavy sample size, but we still have a lot of season ahead of us, guys, gals, and girls. So you throw Jeremy Chin out there, somebody's gonna pick him up because word of the wise, somebody still believes. So, all right, that's the rankings. That's dope. Glad that is in the books. Like I said, check out the link below. You can go check out the site and see all those rankings for yourself. Going deeper than that, I will have those updated again, probably 2 or 3 times before Sunday's kickoff, one including tonight. All right, let's get into some of these questions in the chat. Appreciate everyone who is here with me. Thumbs up. Do me a big favor. Thumbs up this shit. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend. I haven't really been pushing the Patreon on people as much in season, but join the Patreon, support the channel. We got big things coming. IDP Army, fantasy football fans. I love IDP. I love fantasy football. The vision has always been bigger than just IDP. And next year, I'm hoping to really get some things off the ground. So if you've been part of this community, you've been part of watching us grow, you've been part of helping us grow, I appreciate it. I really do. And I'm really excited about some of the things we have coming. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into the weeds here. We got a question from Joey on YouTube. Need 2 wide receivers. I got Robert Woods, Claypool, Sutton, Marvin Jones Jr., and Chenault. I got Hubbard in my flex, which is smart. Should I switch him out for one of these guys? Man, I'm very interested in Claypool this week. I know people keep trying to act like he's not just been incredible already all season, basically. That week he had like a zillion targets and like 70 yards. People were trying to stun on him, like, oh, he only had 70 yards. Who cares? He had like a zillion receptions too. This last week he had like 120 something yards, a touchdown. He's a beast. He can do it all. He can do it on 3 receptions. He can do it on 15 receptions. He's a dog. So I would want to play Claypool. Now, after all that being said, Hubbard has presented so many touch opportunities. And again, like I said, I think this game could be interesting. Carolina versus the Vikings. The Vikings run defenses, it's okay. But even a guy like Hubbard, he has flashed some things we like to see, and the volume's going to be there. So I have a hard time taking him out. If I did, Joey, my guy, it would be for Claypool. But as it stands, I would probably still ride with Hubbard. Good problems to have. Alexander on YouTube says, what is the Rashad Evans status? That is a good question. I don't know that there was any status to be had. I will look that up in just a second. What do you think about Kenny Young after his snaps were dialed back? Like I said, I'm living dangerously in the rankings. I still have him pretty high. I'm kind of going back to the well. There's been extenuating circumstances for why some of that has happened. I'm gonna play it close though. I'm gonna watch this one down. I'm gonna do a little more research after I get off of here because I am concerned. But again, you are playing with fire, but there's so much upside with this Rams linebacker position. You kind of just have to just pick somebody and hope that it pops off. You're probably gonna get a linebacker 1 borderline week out of one of them, but you're probably gonna have to play each of them as a linebacker 3 just because of the risk that kind of goes with them, if that makes sense. Is that what happens when you pay someone $500 million? Oh, I guess this is going back a little bit in the comments. I guess I brought up somebody who got paid a bunch of money and didn't show up anymore. Yeah, I mean, it happens, you work for it, you get it, then you fucking throw it in the mattress and lay on it. Thoughts on Charles Harris? 1 sack every week he's played so far, no high tackle floor, but should be added. I mean, what up, Billy? Really coming in here and throwing these 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, huh? You probably know more than me about Charles Harris. If you're in these dynasty leagues that we're in together and you are hard up for defensive line, I mean, yeah, you're always going to be on the lookout for anybody that's an up and comer at the defensive line position, be he inside or outside. I would say I got lucky, but it was just paying attention. A couple of years ago, I drafted Javon Hargraves in the league as like my 3rd or 4th defensive tackle, and 2 of the last 3 seasons he's been incredible, including this one. And it was just kind of watching and just seeing that he was popping off. So I picked him up. So, I mean, if he's doing good things, and he's got your stamp of approval, he's going to get mine. Rugaroo, what up, Jordan? Yo, what up, my guy? We'll see you Sunday morning, I assume. Yeah, and all y'all who are still here, make sure that you come join us on Sunday morning for the live stream, 11 a.m. Eastern. We do the same shit, but better. Jesse Bates been balling 100. Yo, he's a beast. He was almost on the thumbnail for this video. This close, but I gave it to Nick Bosa. I have a chance to land Jamal Adams or Schobert. This would give me Buda and Jamal or Landry Mack, Edmonds, and Schobert. What are your thoughts? Man, this is tough because Schobert and Adams have both not been doing what I have projected them to do coming into the year. So my thought process is either, and this is the optimist in me, is okay, like they have, based on their careers, a lot of positive regression coming their way, points-wise, impact play-wise. That's the positive man in me. The other guy in me, as it is week 5, is like, this might be the last chance you get to just be in my lineups without me questioning my own sanity, let alone your ability. So maybe that gives you some context. If you're in Dynasty, I would still never ever be trying to move away from a truly top tier player, even in a slump like this, because 2 reasons. 1, you're getting rid of a top tier player, and 2, you're getting rid of them during a slump. That's not when you want. It's not an alpha move. That's not a power move. That's not a winning move. If you really think the floor is falling out, though, like if you think this is Bitcoin Cash and not Bitcoin, sell. Also picked up Robert Quinn. He's listed as linebacker in my league. Yeah, I said something about that earlier this week. If you're getting a sack and your league scores properly, isn't IDP suppressed, isn't muted, isn't like a standard league where, 100 yards is 10 points and that's it. He's still going to be probably playable as a flex linebacker every week based on the production he's had. Yeah, Claypool puts up 80 yards a week. He does. Big Ben's arm. Big Ben's arm has been a joke for so long, but like the jokes every week, not every week, every other week, the joke's on the people making the joke, though, because it doesn't look bad. Man, as soon as I said something positive about Big Ben, like 3 people left the stream. I'm fucking dying over here, man. Oh my gosh, y'all killing me. All right. Not talking about him as a player, but it's hard to surround him with weapons and the defense. Man, where are we at, Anthony? Been a while since you came in here and said something. What are you talking about? Man, I don't even see it. I guess he's talking about... I don't know. Who got $500 million? That's only Josh Allen or Mahomes, right? It's the only guys that get that kind of money. Anyway, all right, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there. Subscribe to our new podcast, The Underdogs, please. I'm begging you. It's a good show, though. You would really like it. I'm actually going to do an underdog draft right after this, so click the link below. And by do an underdog draft, I mean I'm going to go put on Netflix and do 15 underdog drafts for the next probably hour and a half while I watch TV and prepare for this weekend. Join me. Click the link below, okay? Do some drafts with me. Let's have some fun. I'll see you guys back here on Sunday. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thumbs up, subscribe. I love you. I love you all more than you could ever know. All right, I'm out.
Can feel it, thunder in paradise. Can feel it, thunder in paradise. Can feel it, thunder in paradise. Can feel it.
Let the rain hit the sand. Build a house on a rock, got a plan. Gotta get stocks, keep them bands. Hear the clock tick, blades on the fan. Used to be mundane on a Monday. Now you have fun day on a Sunday. Cause you switching it up and you living it up. You ain't getting enough.